Hello, everybody. I hope you enjoyed your lunch. A few words about me and the team, essentially who we are. My son, Ophir, and myself are the ones who did this bit of a research. And this is our relationship. And he couldn't make it, unfortunately, so I'm here alone. He was dealing mostly with the funky bits of VBA that we needed to automate all kinds of things in Excel while doing some of the tests. And unfortunately, he couldn't be here. So the short version, Excel runs Python since like a year and a half. So if you have Office 365, you can embed Python in it. The Python code and the data are being sent over to Microsoft for processing. And what we found out is that you can actually play with, you can modify the environment it runs at, and you can do all kinds of interesting things inside that runtime that processes your Python code. And we also found out that it looks like the Python code is running inside shared sessions, which means bad things. There is an update on it. Exactly a week ago, I had a call with the Microsoft security team, and they announced that coincidentally, regardless of my findings, they fixed it in February. So regardless of everything, it was supposedly fixed. It's, it's a challenge. By the way, what they said is feel free to play with it and break it. So it's, handing over also things over to you guys. So it's all, work in progress, proof of concept. It's not like it's a weaponized something, because it's not. And all of the code snippets and everything else is on this GitHub repository. It also will be available in the materials that can be downloaded from the website later on. By the way, there will be a Q&A time at the end, but if you are pressed to ask something right in the middle, well, I can't see all of you because of the lights, so just scream, "Oi!" and I will let you ask your questions, okay? So essentially, I'm not a professional security guy. I'm an enthusiastic amateur, so is my son. And it's all happened by mistake, okay? It's a nice story, but I was forced to take vacation before the end of the year. And just before diving into all of the activities that my wife was planning, I said, you know what, just give me a couple of hours, please. I need to play. It looks cool. It will be nice for me to know yet another tool to use in Excel, and then boom. It's not my wife, by the way. My wife is a supermodel. It's just a stock image, but I like it. So the timeline for this talk will be a short introduction about Excel and Python, an explanation about the Python environment, and how to execute remote code in Microsoft, how to upload custom binary files and everything, maybe a live demo if we have some time, if it works, and maybe some time for Q&A. So, a short introduction. Everybody knows what Excel is. And by the way, this is as opposed to many of the other sessions that you saw, where you need this car and you need this runtime environment. No, everybody has Excel, right? I suppose so. Many of you have Windows. This, by the way, you need Windows, Excel on Windows to run this. It's not supported yet on other runtimes, but still, go on and start playing with it when you go home, okay? It is supposed to be a secure environment. It's my own private Excel, right? And it's something that is the reason for Python to exist is because VBA has reached it's not in end of life, but there's a limit to how much you can do. For example, you cannot create smart graphs that you could possibly with Python, with all kinds of graphic visualizations. And you find it hard if you have complex data. Processing it just in pure Excel is a really hard time. You know, you end up in Python, in Excel function hell with all kinds of nested ifs, and it's crazy. You know, I've been there. So Python essentially provides you with the ability, if you are a data analyst, to get your data, write code to process it using libraries that every data analyst should know, like Pandas. Okay, that's why, by the way, I'm referring to Pandas at the beginning of the session, and get everything done inside. It's really cool and nice. So how exactly does it work? So actually, it's quite simple. There is a special Py Excel formula. Okay, inside the Py formula, you write Python code, and you refer to data from the worksheet using the XL Python function, which is embedded. You don't need to import it or do anything about it. Then you press Control Enter, set into execution, and get the result back. Okay? This is quite simple. The input options that you can refer to with the Excel function are single cells or ranges or named ranges or tables. Anything that exists in Excel as data, you can refer to inside your Python code. And the output options can be also quite complex. They can be full-blown Pandas data frames or lists or discrete values or dictionaries or anything that is returned by Python. How it works in a very short way. This is some custom Python code. You see that we have two cells inside our spreadsheet. One contains the number 42, the other one contains the number 43, and I refer to them right here. Sorry. Okay, I refer to them. No, it's not working, the pointer. You don't see anything. Anyway, inside you see that Excel C2 and Excel 3 refer to the cells from Excel, and then I combine them, multiply them, and show the results. So this is really actually quite simple, and this is the result, of course, the multiplication of those numbers. Looking at the architecture of everything of Python in Excel, we see something like this. We see ourselves running, having Excel with Python in number one. There is some kind of a check whether I'm entitled to actually run Python in Excel. Do I have a valid license? There is, you know, all of the Microsoft licensing servers and everything that are involved in it. Then my data, that not all of the spreadsheet, but the data that is referred to inside the Python code, plus the code, are being sent over to Microsoft for execution and evaluation. Then it runs inside number 4, which is a dedicated container inside Azure that runs on the Azure Linux and runs Jupyter, runs the Jupyter server. And then the results are being returned back to my spreadsheet for further usage in my Excel work. So there is a whole definition by Microsoft, how does security work for Excel, Python Excel security. There is, again, you find it in the documentation, and the Python code is isolated. It cannot touch your VBA. It cannot be, by the way, I also find it very hard, impossible for the time being to interact, to make Python code interact with VBA. It's also something that I spend quite a lot of time on it. So it doesn't have access to anything. It's a lot of good work that Microsoft put in place, and mostly working. Now, the important part to remember is that essentially what Microsoft did is they created the Jupyter notebook, which is embedded inside the Excel software. So my entire spreadsheet becomes a large, giant Jupyter notebook. Okay, Jupyter notebook essentially is something which allows to execute my code on somebody else's server. Okay, in this case, on Microsoft. Like in Jupyter, there is an evaluation order, so anything which is defined in a cell which is previous to my current cell is available for me inside the code. And if you have like sheet 1 and sheet 2 in the spreadsheet, in the Excel file, you will see that if you define a variable or a function in sheet 1, it will be available in sheet 2 without further declarations. And one other thing, which is that the Jupyter magic commands are supported. By the way, I discovered the magic commands, after spending a couple of weeks on the other stuff, because I thought, I have Python, I can run commands via Python because I have access to the system commands. But then I found out there is a much easier way. So the next thing actually are the Jupyter magic commands. Jupyter magic commands is when you simply can execute a shell command or all kinds of commands that show information about the environment, or even embed the entire Linux bash script inside my Excel spreadsheet and execute it as is on the runtime by Microsoft. Okay, so all of these are available. You can run LS Magic if you want to see which magic commands exist in there. And for example, running env, running the %env returns the dictionary of environment variables. Speaking of environment variables, you can actually take a look at the environment variables, not necessarily with the env, but with regular Python code. And you can see that there are all kinds of tantalizing hints about what is the environment like, what happens nearby, who else is on my network. They did quite a good job at isolation, so I couldn't access all of those hints, the fabric. But still you have a lot of information in place that might be, if you succeed to break out, you have the first step on doing all kinds of stuff. The more interesting part is things like the Jupyter token, which can be used further to allow the code to actually converse directly with the local Jupyter server, enumerate other sessions, and converse with the other sessions, and execute code remotely and hiddenly in those other sessions. Okay, so this is something that we need to remember. You will see it later on. Again, you can, there is some code to list all of the installed libraries. There is a whole set of installed libraries, which is data analyst dream. Anything that can visualize stuff in all kinds of matplot and C and everything that you need to do as a data analyst to create large, compelling graphs exists inside. Okay, let's come to the interesting part. It turns out that almost the entire system is user writable. The entire file system, again, on the remote server. So, which is fun, because this code that lists everything. And this is some of the interesting places that I discovered. So all of the Python modules are user writable, the directory, so I can modify directly my runtime environment. And I can modify the Python, the Jupyter startup directory. If I can put something in there and somebody else uses the session, then maybe they will execute it as well. And all of the Jupyter connection session, everything is user writable. So essentially, I decided to start looking at other stuff. What other commands are available? Let's see what we can do. So to execute a system command like any of those which are listed here, all I have to do is write the Python, the Python function, write %sx and the Linux command, right? And it executes, and I will show you this in the demo. So you see that some basic things like ping, dig do not exist. Nmap and netcat, I wouldn't expect them to exist, and they don't. Which doesn't exist, but curl exists, pip exists, RPM exists, tar exists, unzip and zip also exist. I didn't list them here. So I decided, let's see, can I install using pip my own custom module inside the file system, inside my Python runtime. So first I wrote a bit of a code to test the installation of my custom Python module. And this should fail by definition. If nothing else happens, and it fails, okay, because this doesn't exist. But then, when I execute something like this, which is a bash script to install the tiniest minimal Python module, it simply executes, all runs properly, builds everything, and there you go. We have a new Python command. I was able to use this trick to not completely, but to modify, to add all kinds of stuff to the standard Pandas module, okay? To add my foobar variable to Pandas just to check if it works. I didn't go all the way to actually try and modify and exfiltrate data because of responsibility and responsive work before coordinating with Microsoft. However, like I said, what Microsoft said to me just last week was, you know what, go on, try and break it, we don't care. Just let us know. So again, will be something fun to do over the next weeks. So let's talk a bit about Jupyter sessions. First, I need to mention this. This is part of my email conversation with Microsoft and a summary of the call. Before February, different documents from the same user could share the same session, which means that if I logged into my session as a developer, as an analyst, and then I was working on the CFO's PC, helping him set things up, and then I logged in from his PC into, again, using my user into Excel, then his session and my session could be shared on the same container, okay? So maybe I'm doing something for the CFO to do, and he was using data, you know, that only he in his file should be seeing, but since they are both tied to the same user, I will get his data, or I will be able to access his session. So this was fixed on February this year, 2 months ago. And right now, it is said that anything, I will show you that what we see multiple sessions inside multiple Jupyter sessions inside my connection. But again, according to Microsoft, this is all working as expected. So there's that. So how to find Jupyter sessions? We can execute the first line, which is system execute Jupyter path, and see where is the runtime hiding. And if we list this directory, we can see that we have actually 2 sessions. Now, I connected to this cell. This is real. This is an actual copy paste, and this is just from the last, after my call with the guys, I decided to check it again, because previously I was seeing more than 2. I was seeing 3, sometimes 4 different sessions inside. And you can see that I connected to the server with Excel at 10 p.m., 10 and 9 minutes before midnight. And the server was waiting for me for a long time, for more than, you know, almost 2.5 hours before that. Okay, so again, this is something that is supposedly working as expected. And, sorry, question? No? I thought I heard something. So we can find more sessions if we want to see what exactly, what servers are running on my runtime at the moment. And there is the nice command that shows what is the token, the secret token that allows me to communicate with the Jupyter server. So there are multiple ways, multiple places where this token is actually hiding. It's hiding inside the JP. If you see, there is the second is the JP server -71.json. So in there is a token which is hiding, but it's also hiding inside the environment in Jupyter token. And essentially, it can be used to then run something like this and see exactly which sessions are happening, what the last activity is, and what path is the session hiding. And it allows us a way to communicate with the session and to actually, not with my session, with the other session, and to execute some code on it. So if we discover that there are, or there may be multiple sessions running on a single server, on a single Docker session, on a single Docker instance, sorry, then we will be able to access it and actually do all kinds of nice things. There is a very nice YouTube video. There is a link afterwards that shows you everything that can be done after you are able to access another session on Jupyter. So if you remember, a few slides ago, I showed you that I was trying to run nmap and it didn't exist. And then I started thinking, can I actually upload or recreate all kinds of binary files? Let's take nmap, for example, which is a standard tool for scanning servers and networks. And I discovered that, yes, I can do that. I can do that, and then I can upload custom modules, binary files, tar files, zip files, anything that I want to do. And I'm going to show you essentially the idea how it can be done. So easy. Create a base64 file from the binary. Don't copy and paste it into Excel. No, no, no. It will not work. It will not work because of certain characters that may exist, that will exist inside the text file. Anything starting with a plus is a valid Excel function. Excel will try to interpret it as an Excel function. It will fail, and it will create an error, and it will not upload correctly. So don't copy-paste. Instead, using Excel Power Query, import the file to a named range. In your code, refer to it. There are examples in the GitHub. I don't have time to show you this in real time, unfortunately, but there are examples for this. In your code, save the text to a remote disk, restore binary from base64, run whatever tool you used to the reverse of what you did. If you created a zip file, unzip. If you created a tar file, run tar. If it's a custom module, run pip, whatever, okay? And add the binaries that you just uploaded to path, LD library path, and Python path. You need Python path because you need Python path, it's Python. You need the LD library path because you might also upload dependencies that are not included on the standard image, on the standard Microsoft Linux. So any dependencies, you need to tell the system where to find them. And if they're not, and LD library path is the standard Linux way to tell them where everything is. So I use the Windows, so I just uploaded binaries from WSL. Works perfectly well. No need to do any funky or any strange Linux distributions. And there is a handy script again on GitHub that shows you how to pack everything, including dependencies, into a single zip file, and then upload it and do everything that you need. And you can use VBA to automate it a bit. So to sum things up, if any of you work in an environment which is controlled and you think that maybe this poses some danger to your environment for various reasons, or you want to block Python, then you have the option to control Python execution from the registry. Okay, this is how you do that. Block it. By default, it's allowed, or if it's not existent, you can warn or you can block depending on your policies. 2. Well, I told you that already, but Microsoft said that, this is, we see, but we patched it, we didn't wait for you. It was already planned. Everything is working perfectly well, okay? The runtime environment is unrestricted on purpose, which is, okay, understandable. And like I said, feel free to break stuff, just let them know, okay? So if you ever go home and say, this is cool, let me open my Excel and try to break. And if you succeed and you do something, so do two things. One, if you publish it, I will be happy to get a reference, thanks to this foundational work by Shalom, Carmel, we did this. And of course, let Microsoft know, because we believe in responsible disclosure. Interesting venues of research that we need to remember. First, we need to remember that Jupyter is a code execution platform. It is built to execute remote code on other people's servers. Okay, this nice YouTube video linked here shows you exactly what can be done on Jupyter if you have shared sessions or even one session. So this is very instructive, very educational to see. So can we connect to other people's sessions? Good question. There is one thing which is very interesting here, and that is to see how exactly does Microsoft connect the correct container with the correct user in the correct session. Can we fake it? Can we, for example, do something and that will let me connect to somebody else's session? I don't know. I didn't research it yet. It's an open area of research, very interesting. I will be happy to hear if somebody does any work on this. Is a container breakout possible? Can you actually do something? I know that this is a very active line of research, checking if code can break out of a container and escalate to the actual instance running the container. I don't know. I think that actually in this is something that Microsoft is doing quite well, but maybe it's possible, especially since now you have the ability. So let's see what's the difference between what we see here and let's say that you run containers in your regular cloud environment. In a regular cloud environment, when you run a container, no matter if it's on AWS or in Azure, you will be running it inside the VM, inside an instance that you own, that you control. So if a container, if you break out of the container, it's still inside something that you control, right? So usually you will not let somebody else just run their own custom code inside your container and inside your VM. What happens here is something which is a bit different, because my container, the container that I now control, runs inside a VM that is not my VM. So if I can break out of this container, it will be very interesting to see what exactly and where will I end. But again, no, I have no answers for this. This is an idea for research. Our session is really limited. Good question, I don't know. And again, I did create a custom Pandas module, but it didn't actually do any exfiltration of data. So it might be very interesting, not only for this, but also maybe for other Jupyter servers, Jupyter installations, to write a custom Pandas module that actually collects all of the data sent to it and puts it somewhere safe or send it somewhere else, or does something with it that allows me to later collect it. So essentially, this is something, again, that is an open area of research. And don't try to DOS Azure by long-running containers. I don't know. I crossed it out. So this is something that you shouldn't be doing unless you really want. Okay. Important. 3 key points to remember. One, is that Python is a remote code execution platform, which makes Excel a remote code execution platform. 2, all new technology has bugs and security issues. So whenever you are adopting new stuff or pulling or putting new stuff inside your environment, it doesn't really matter where it comes from. It could be coming from a trusted source. If it's new stuff, there's potential for all kinds of problems and security issues. And number 3, of course, we're here to have fun, right? Aren't we? So, questions? Yes? Sorry, where? Logging? Is there any logging? That's a good question. I asked Microsoft about logging of all this activity. They said that, yeah, they were thinking about instrumenting the logging part of everything. So they're logging like the connections so that they know when to time out. According to them, they were not logging whatever is happening inside because of privacy and data security, right? So if you log everything that is being sent over, then you log, all of the confidential information that you are. So they're not logging it, in bulk. Maybe they will do now all kinds of things. So at the moment, the answer is no. It's not being logged except for the metadata of connection. So yeah, enjoy. No logging. Yes. Questions? No questions. Then I guess we're good. Before time. Thank you very much. The Python, okay, that's a very good question. The question was whether the Python module comes by default with Excel. So the answer is a bit complex. A, it only runs on Windows. B, you must have some very specific, you must have Office 365. So if you have Excel, which is older than this, like Excel 2019 or something like this, you will not have Python. You need to have a valid, working, paid subscription of Office 365 on Windows, and then you have Excel. No additional extensions to install, nothing to install. One thing regarding money and subscription, by default, everybody has Excel. Everybody who, like I said, with those limitations of Windows and everything, but you will find that the standard license, the Office license, is kind of sometimes limiting you in the number of Python code and that you're trying to run. So at some point you will see an error if you do something which is very intensive in terms of Python processing, and there will be an error that means, hey, you exceeded your license, wait for an hour. So there is a solution for that, and that is to pay an extra $25 a month. Money, this is Microsoft. So, but then there's no limit after you do that. So nothing special to install, just latest Excel in Office 365. Sorry? No, you don't need macros enabled. No. This is one of the reasons they did it, because macros enabled were, when you enable macros, because maybe you need macros for, heavy data processing, but then macros are a really big security issue. Okay, macros can actually access everything that you run. So a lot of institutions disable macros, okay, inside their environment. But still, on the one hand, you disable the macros for security, but then the data analysts and the CFO office started crying, but we need something. So that's why they created this, to bridge the gap between, on the one hand, not enable macros, and on the other hand, have some kind of computing power, computing capabilities that enable you to process a lot of data. Yes. No, you're not able to connect. The question is whether it's possible to connect to the internet. No, it is not possible. So Python does not run inside your PC. It runs only on Azure, number one. Number two, that Azure instance has you know, the security rules around it that essentially block it from accessing the internet. So you cannot use it to access the internet. And I tried, believe me, I tried everything. I tried DNS and ICMP and TCP and socket and everything. You know, you will find all kinds of code examples, the history of my failures in the GitHub repository. No, you cannot connect to the internet. Maybe, so there's no south-north connectivity. Maybe there is some east-west, you know, inside my server, inside my cluster, inside with other neighboring containers. It might be possible, maybe through the control plane of everything. So, but it's an open question. But no internet, yes. If I, yes, I did. I tried within my tenant. No success at the moment. However, I can tell you that if you run nmap on your server, you will see some open ports that are probably connected or related to some kind of a control plane that controls everything. So except for port 888, which is the Jupyter, there are some other open. And this is something which is definitely requires more research. So if you upload nmap and run, you will see 3 ports open. And this is some very interesting future research to actually do. Yes. No, you cannot access pip. You mean the repositories? The command pip is installed, yes. Probably yes, but you cannot access any external archives. Okay, you can upload your own, you can create like a pip compatible environment. So this is what I did. This is this small example. I created like a repository which is installable. You run pip locally, and then it's okay. But you need to upload everything. So far, I wasn't able to find a way to connect to external places. No, sorry, can you please repeat? Yes. You can run in multiple cells. You're not limited to one cell. Okay? So you can, for example, define a library of tools in one cell, and then in other cells afterwards, just refer to them as needed, as necessary. Okay, it's like Jupyter. When in Jupyter you have in a notebook, you have a list of cells, also they call it cells, and you define something on the top, and then you can use it on the bottom. And each and every cell in your spreadsheet becomes like a Jupyter cell.
Will you be uploading the slides?
The slides will be available on the website. It's mostly the same. If you want a really up-to-date latest version of the slides, I didn't put this exact version because of the anime figures that, you know, there may be copyright issues and so on. So So essentially, it will be available on the website for the conference. Sorry, did I what? I didn't find any except other. Well, you can do your research. You can run and you can look for anything. You have full access to everything. So yeah, that's that. Thank you very much. Thank you for being my guests.